we're using the fairy tale of the three bears to keep it real when we answer the question, how much money should I be spending on a new home? What do I qualify for? Because that's not the question that we should be answering at all when we're thinking about making a home purchase. The question we should be answering is, how do I want to live my life? And how does this major purchase of a home factor into my entire life? Do I have for a goal that I want to retire early? Do I want a second home? Do I want to travel a lot? Do I want to have 10 kids? All of these things factor into how much money we would want to pour into a home. And all of those choices are on the table for you. And we're going to be talking about that in detail today. So I want you to watch this video twice. The first time, just listen to the example that I queue up for you. And then the second time, I want you to have your numbers with you and walk through the process yourself so you can make those adult decisions on how you want to invest your money and how you want to queue up your financial future. Now, the financial pieces that you'll need in front of you on that second watching are your pay stub. How much money do you have in take home? What are your current debts? Your collection of student loans, your credit card bills, other debts that you're paying, car payment. Have those in front of you and tallied up. And have perhaps your credit score in front of you. And then a very important piece to have in front of you is, what kind of bills do you have right now that are extraneous? Do you have large daycare bills? Do you have a large entertainment fund? You like to go traveling or have dinners out frequently? What are all the other expenses that you have around you? Your grocery bill? Do you commute? Do you have a large gas bill? We know what those prices are like right now. So look at those other expenses in your real life as well and have those numbers ready on that second viewing. So let's go through this first viewing and let's shape up our options when we're thinking about making our home purchase. Today we're going to be looking at the example of Chris and Chris, a married couple in Omaha, Nebraska. They have two incomes coming in and their gross income together is $6,000. That's before taxes per month. $6,000 per month, $72,000 annually together. That is their gross income before taxes. Now, since they live in Omaha, Nebraska, there are taxes to pay. So before any of that gross income comes right into their bank account, they pay taxes. And so their net income, their take home after taxes, is actually $4,800. So that's different than their gross income. $4,800 is their net income. So Chris and Chris have reviewed their current status of their bills. And they do have a couple bills that they're paying on currently right now per month. They have a $250 car payment and they have $50 that they're paying on a credit card bill. So collectively they have in debt monthly that they're paying $300. And they're getting ready to analyze what they can afford for their next big purchase, a home. You gather up your numbers and see what your numbers say, and let's go on and discuss our options for Chris and Chris and for you. Chris and Chris are being financially smart, so they're bringing these numbers and doing the calculations so they can get ready to meet with their potential lender. So what is the calculation that a potential lender will make? They are, for a conventional loan, concerned about debt to income ratio. What the heck is debt to income ratio? They do not want your debts to exceed your income by a factor of 50%. So let's do that calculation for Chris and Chris's example. They had $6,000. I'm going to cut that in half by 50% because that's the number that conventional lenders are going to be paying attention to. 50% of that is $3,000. And then I'm going to deduct from that existing debt that they're paying monthly, that $300. So that leaves the ballpark amount that those Chris and Chris should be paying attention to as $2,700 as a monthly mortgage payment. If we're going to keep that in a doable place, you could get a pre-qualification for $2,700. That's a pretty nice number. That means that 50% of your income would be going out the door. Not so fast. Remember that calculation was made on gross income, not what you're actually putting in your pocket. So Chris and Chris are actually only bringing home $4,800. And so that's going to feel a lot tighter to have 2,700 of it going right out the door. That only leaves $100 more for them to play with to get to all the rest of all of their goals, including eating, entertainment, and future goals and future savings. So should you go to the limit that you could qualify for, or should you go another direction? Let's look at the other extreme. Chris and Chris are gleeful. They're excited. They're ready to run out and start looking at houses because they know that they can afford $2,700 in their monthly mortgage. But hold on a minute. That's more than 50% of their income out the door for one thing and one thing only, their shelter, their house. That is a recipe for potentially disaster, potentially being house poor or house broke, B-R-O-K-E, broke. You might really have to love your house because you might never be able to leave it to do anything else. You better love that backyard because you're going to be spending a lot of time in it. So let's look at some other models. There have been a lot of scholars who have studied this and have constructed all kinds of models. So let's go to the other end, the completely opposite end, and take 25% of our net income. 25% of our net income. So remember, Chris and Chris in the state of Nebraska for their net income had $4,800 after taxes that they were able to have take home and put in the bank. And if we took 25%, and so we multiplied that number times 0.25, we would get the number of $1,200. That's pretty tight. So what are we going to find for that mortgage payment of $1,200? Will it be a smaller home? For sure. For sure. So which one do I like better, the $2,700 or do I like the $1,200? What I like about this 25% model is that I have 75% of my income left that I can spend on anything I want, not just my shelter, not just my house. Want to buy a motorcycle? Want to buy a lake home? Want to go to Europe? Do I want to stay home and have somebody take care of my kids as a single income family? All options are on the table because I have 75% of my cash at my disposal, not wrapped up in my house payment. How do I feel about that? Now let's look at something in between and see what that looks like. We're on a journey helping Chris and Chris get to their just right spot for their mortgage payment. So let's take this next scenario of spending 1/3 or 33% of their net income on their house payment. So remember their net income was $4,800 after taxes in Omaha, Nebraska. And if we take that times 0.33 or 33%, we get a number that's just under $1,600. So if we spent 1/3 of their take-home pay on their house payment, their shelter, they would have about $1,600 to spend. Now, let's consider they already have $300 in debt that they're aware of, and they have some other variables. What are all the other variables? What about their utilities? What about their internet? What about their phones? What about daycare? That's huge for families. How much money are they spending on daycare? What about commuting? How much are they spending on gas to commute? What about Chris wants a new motorcycle? What about Chris wants to go to a trip to Florida? Is there going to be enough money in that 2/3 amount that they have left over that they're not spending on shelter to satisfy all the other things that they have to do and things that they want to do? And some of this is dependent on Chris and Chris's personality. Maybe they are the ultimate in penny pinchers. They just love saving and they can take it and stretch it to the max and buy that bigger house because they know how to budget their money. And it also might mean that Chris and Chris really don't need to spend all that money on their house. They can pinch pennies in different ways. So what is your personality in this factor as well? What kind of personality do you know that you are when it relates to money? All of these things matter when you're coming up and constructing your just right for your mortgage payment. It isn't necessarily the number that your lender says you're pre-qualified for. your lender, and you, but mostly you get to decide what feels too big, what feels too small, and what might be just right, and a lot of space in the middle to construct the life of your dreams, the life of your dreams. And I hope this video gave you more inspiration, more confidence, and more options as you're doing just that. But don't worry, if you need more inspiration, I've got more queued up for you right here.